All praise to you, gracious Creator. You have gathered us in this university community to praise you by our words and our works. Bless the University of Alberta, which seeks to teach whatsoever things are true. Bless the students and professors, the non-academic staff and support staff, the administration, those who volunteer on the University Board of Governors, the Senate, and the Alumni Council, and all who promote sound education in our community. We ask that those who leave here today, blessed with their degrees, may be given grace and strength to serve in our global home. May we grow in wisdom and grace before you and all your people. May this university always be a home of truth and wisdom, of faith and goodwill toward all. Please be seated. Welcome all to the University of Alberta. My name is Ralph Young. I have the privilege of serving as the Chancellor of the University of Alberta, and on behalf of the entire university community, I'm honored to welcome you here to this convocation. To begin, I wish to acknowledge and honor all Indigenous peoples, including the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations of Treaty 6, and to acknowledge the traditional lands on which we are gathered today. I also wish to acknowledge and honor the immigrants from many nations whose contributions have added to our rich heritage. Our university is blessed with a diverse and inclusive culture which is built on the legacy of all those who have come before us. Today, we pledge to uphold that legacy as we continue to pursue whatsoever things are true. This is a time of great joy and thanksgiving, and we are glad that so many friends and family members could join us as we celebrate the accomplishments of our graduates. I know that our lives are busy, more so than ever it seems, and in my experience, the older that we get, the more life seems to speed by. Chief Crowfoot of the Siksika Nation once said, and I quote, "What is life? It is a flash of a firefly in the night, it's the breath of a buffalo in the wintertime. It is also the little shadow that runs across the grass and loses itself in the sunset." So there is real value in slowing our pace and stopping once in a while to celebrate something truly important. Your graduation from the University of Alberta is such an occasion, and we're honored to share it with you. Joining the celebration on the stage today is our President, Dr. Indira Samarasekera, and Mr. Robert Teske, Board of Governors Representative. We're also privileged to welcome Dr. Sharon Batella, who received an honorary doctorate of letters at the June 2nd Augustana campus convocation in Camrose, and is here today to present the convocation address. I'm equally delighted to welcome here on stage Consular Corps of Jamaica, Mrs. Colleen Nita, and Mr. Steve Young, MLA for Edmonton Riverview. I would also like to recognize Alder Pauline Paulson, who is here today to extend a personal note of congratulations to our Aboriginal graduates as they receive their degrees. Also on stage with us today are senior staff, deans, and professors of the Academy. You'll note that we're all dressed in academic robes to mark the importance of this special ceremony. The tradition of convocation, a gathering together of all qualified degree holders in a university community, dates back almost 700 years. Generations and generations of graduates have walked in your footsteps. But in spite of all the history and tradition within today's ceremony, our convocation is not about the past, it's really about your future. Convocation is about you, our graduates, and that promise of the future that you hold in your hands. This is a very special day to celebrate, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I would now like to start by inviting greetings from our University Board of Governors, Robert Teske.
Eminent Chancellor, Mr. Ralph Young, President Indira Samarasekera, distinguished guests, graduates, family, and friends. I am indeed honored to be here today to bring greetings on behalf of our Board Chair, Doug Goss, and the Board of Governors of the University of Alberta. Convocation is a rare and important time when the entire university community gathers to celebrate the achievements since our last ceremony. Today, you will be graduating from an institution that is recognized as one of Canada's leading universities and ranks among the top 100 in the world. Indeed, we have much to celebrate, but today we especially gather to celebrate you, our graduating class of 2013. We are confident that the knowledge you have gained through hard work and dedication will serve you well as you face the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. By completing your degrees and studies, each of you has achieved a rare degree of excellence, which will be forever recognized in your university degree. And now your university has the privilege of acknowledging your success. The Board of Governors salutes you today, and we hope this ceremony will be remembered as a highlight in a full and satisfying life. We join with family and friends in offering our sincerest congratulations and our very best wishes for all that lies ahead. Congratulations to each of you and to those who have encouraged and supported you and have thus made this day possible for you to be here today. It is now my privilege to introduce Mr. Steve Young, MLA for Edmonton Riverview.
Well, thank you very much, Board Member Teske. I'm very proud to bring greetings on behalf of the Honourable Premier Alison Redford, the Minister of Enterprise and Advanced Education, the Honourable Thomas Lukasik, and all my colleagues at the Alberta Legislature. I'd like to also acknowledge President Indira Samarasekera, Chancellor Ralph Young, faculty members and staff, students, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure to join here today the class of 2013 on this joyous occasion. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in your life, one is filled with infinite possibilities and great promise. During this time of transition, it's typical to experience a whole range of emotions, excitement for the unknown, optimism for the future, and a bit of nostalgia as you embark on your new journey in your life. While it may seem daunting to make the leap from academia to workplace, you know that your education at this world-class center of learning excellence has equipped you with the skills and knowledge you will need to turn your academic achievements, career goals, and dreams into reality, no matter what those dreams may be. The road you take may be different from those of your peers. Some of you will be driven to pursue further learning. Others will be driven to new professions or new career possibilities. Some may even embark on professions that don't even exist but will pave new paths. Whichever road you take, there's bound to be a few twists, a few forks in the road, and even a few wrong turns. But don't let that discourage you from continuing on. We have a great history of dreamers achieving great things here in Alberta, and I trust that you will all help to continue to build the University of Alberta legacy, for you will stand on the shoulders of giants and see further. When you look at the list of University of alumni in academics, Robert Taylor is a Nobel laureate, literature, W.O. Mitchell, Honourable Beverly McLaughlin is the Chief Justice of Canada, and recently honoured Catherine Fraser, the Chief Justice of Alberta. Other notable alumni, Colin Campbell, from hockey legend, Paul Gross, the actor, George Stanley, who designed the Canadian flag, and even politicians. We have Joe Clark, former Prime Minister of Canada, Willie Littlechild, and U of A alumni on the hockey team, Willie Littlechild, Peter Lougheed, and Preston Manning. They all chased dreams. They took risks, they rolled up their sleeves and took new challenges, overcame adversity, and above all, they followed their passion. I know you will do the same. That is the Alberta way. Whether you're from Alberta or you came to Alberta, there's opportunity to use that passion. These are the kind of people who built our province and made it such a place to call home. They're innovators and entrepreneurs. They're artists and athletes. They are leaders. They are people like you. And as graduates of the University of Alberta class of 2013, now it is your turn to be bold and take risks and to build Alberta's future. Wherever your life takes you, I'm confident that you will live up to that responsibility. I'd like to leave you with a favorite quote of mine. It is not the critic who counts, not the one who points out how the strong man stumbled or how the doer of deeds might have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with sweat and dust and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short time and time again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself a worthy cause, who, if he wins, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Thank you very much, and I congratulate you on your embark on your new careers as the doers, the creators, the change agents, the developers, the innovators, and the ones who kicked at the door of the future for Alberta, for Canada, and the world. Thank you very much.
Class of 2013, my warmest congratulations to you all. I look out over this auditorium and I am filled with pride at what you have accomplished at the University of Alberta. This is a day for celebrating your success, for reflecting upon all that you have learned, for acknowledging all those hours that you spent in the classroom, the library, and laboratory, for reviewing the experiences you gained out in the field, on co-op placements, in community service learning, and studying abroad. Be proud of your achievements. Be thankful to your parents and families for all of the support they've given you. Your families are extremely proud of you. You have no idea the sense of relief they are experiencing. A piece of advice: now would be a good time to ask for money. You graduate at an exciting time. Virgin Galactic, the world's first commercial space line, not airline, space line, announced that they have recruited 2 pilots for their commercial flight team. Space travel for ordinary people like you and me will become a reality in your lifetime. I wonder if you have been following over the last several weeks the tweets of Canada's own celebrated astronaut, Chris Hadfield, commander of Expedition 35 of the International Space Station. Chris Hadfield was only 9 years old when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Inspired to become an astronaut, he was the first Canadian to leave a spacecraft and float freely in space. He was the first Canadian to operate the Canadarm. Did you know that 2 University of Alberta alumni played significant roles in making the Canadarm, Canada's most renowned contribution to the human space program? Gary Lindbergh, a U of A alumnus, was Canadarm's project manager, while another alumnus, Lloyd Pinckey, built the space vision system that gave Canadarm 2 eyes as well as arms. It was in 1981 that Canadarm made its debut on the space shuttle Columbia. Now here we are in 2013 on the verge of commercial space travel. This is all the more amazing when you consider that it was only 110 years ago, in 1903, that Orville and Wilbur Wright made the first controlled, powered, and sustained human flight. Their first plane cost less than $1,000. The first flight lasted 12 seconds, traveled only a distance of 120 feet at 6.8 miles an hour. I'm surprised it just didn't give up. And so their journey began. It was neither easy nor speedy. They had trouble establishing legitimacy. Most newspapers didn't cover their efforts because no one believed it. They endured crashes, patent wars, lawsuits. Finally, in 1909, they incorporated the Wright Brothers Company. In November of 1910, they transported the first known commercial cargo for a payload of $5,000. They also launched a flying school. By 1916, Wright Brothers had trained 115 pilots and commercial aviation was launched, the wellspring of today's space travel. Theirs is an amazing story of grit and entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, Wilbur died at the age of 45 of typhoid fever, and Orville sold the company. On Wilbur's death, his father Milton wrote this about him in his diary, and I quote, "A short life, full of consequences, an unfailing intellect, imperturbable temper, great self-reliance, great modesty, seeing the right clearly, pursuing it steadfastly, he lived and died," unquote. As you graduate today, I want you to reflect on the lives of Wilbur and Orville Wright and the many who followed them to develop aviation and space travel, including Neil Armstrong, Chris Hadfield, and the University of Alberta alumni Gary Lindbergh and Lloyd Pinkey. They saw the right clearly. They lived lives of consequences. They have led good lives. Today, as you graduate from the University of Alberta, I challenge you to live a good life. And what will that entail? In our society, we tend to equate a good life with an easy life, a life of quickly achieved professional success, personal happiness, and financial security. While it is my hope that you experience all of these good things, I want to turn this notion on its head. Today, I want to suggest to you that a good life is not an easy life, but an uneasy one. A good life makes you uncomfortable. It includes adversities. It presents you with difficulties that take all of your knowledge, ingenuity, and energy to solve. It tests your fortitude and teaches you the value of failure. Seeing adversity as a positive force is out of fashion in our society right now. As parents, and my children are only a few years older than you, we have tried to raise you well. This has included shielding you from hardship, wanting to save you from pain. But sometimes I worry that with the best of intentions, we have inadvertently taught you another lesson. A lesson that teaches you that you need our protection because you can't handle really difficult challenges. But do not underestimate yourself. Today, you receive a degree from the University of Alberta. If we have done our job well, we have challenged you to work very hard, to stretch yourself intellectually and creatively. We've asked you to get out of your comfort zone and forced you to ask tough questions. Now I want you to go out and seize the opportunity to build the new organizations, industries, and institutions our society obviously needs. Your generation is much more equitable, open, and tolerant than mine or your parents. You can be the generation that comes up with the solutions we need to solve cultural and political conflict and reimagine international relations. New technologies, you're already there, using them in every endeavor, from teaching to scientific research, to design, to business, to arts, to culture. Can you see the potential in new forms of media for building community, citizen action, information sharing, and so on? Absolutely. Will it be easy? No. Will it take enormous amounts of determination and energy to do the work that needs doing? Yes, it will. But this is what it means to lead a good life. Today, you join a U of A family of alumni who stand 275,000 strong. A family that also includes honorary degree recipient Dr. Sharon Butala. Throughout the history of our university, graduates and honorary degree recipients have been inspired by the two fundamental values on which the U of A is built: the pursuit of truth, qua cumque vera, and the call to use the knowledge for the uplifting of the whole people. We need you to live a good life. I know that you can and will. A good life is not shaped by what you are given, but by what it demands from you and how you use your gifts to respond to those demands. Lived well, it will bring you much joy and great satisfaction. J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame called on Harvard's graduating class of 2008 to live a good life in her convocation address. I conclude with her words. I quote, "Tomorrow, I hope that even if you remember not a single word of mine, you remember those of Seneca, an old Roman I met when I fled down the classics corridor in search of ancient wisdom. He said, 'As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters.' I wish you all very good lives. Congratulations."
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of the University of Alberta, I am honored to introduce Dr. Sharon Butala to give the address to Convocation this afternoon. Dr. Butala accepted an honorary degree from our university earlier this week at the Convocation ceremony at Augustana campus. A gifted writer and storyteller, she is the author of 5 produced plays and 16 books, including bestsellers The Perfection of the Morning, Coyote's Morning Cry, Wildstone Heart, and Lilac Moon, Dreaming of the Real West. For nearly 30 years, she has shared her insights into everyday life on the Canadian prairies, experiences driven by an ethos that is both environmentalist and feminist, in works that explore nature, human creativity, spirituality, and identity. An officer of the Order of Canada and a 2012 recipient of the Kloppenberg Award for Literary Achievement, she has been shortlisted for both the Governor-General's Awards and the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Along with her family, she also earned 5 provincial and national awards for the protection of the Old Man on His Back Prairie and Heritage Conservation Area through the Natural Conservancy of Canada. Dr. Butala's writing, described as beautifully lyrical and eminently readable, reveals a respect for the Indigenous peoples of the Plains and an abiding interest in social and environmental justice. As was once suggested in Books in Canada some years ago, Sharon Butala truly understands the soul of the prairie. Her literary achievements and her significant service to conservation in Western Canada are an inspiring living legacy. Eminent Chancellor, please join me in welcoming Dr. Sharon Butala.
Thank you. Eminent Chancellor, Madam President, Representative on the Board of Governors, members of Senate, guests, graduate friends, and families, I should say. My most heartfelt congratulations go to all of you who are graduating today. No matter what happens in the future, this will always be one of the very big days in your life, and you should be very proud. Getting a university degree involves years of effort and frequently hardship, not only yours, but your parents and other family members. Sacrifices have likely been made, and I urge you to remember that, and that no matter what it is you strive for, there is not much more valuable in the world than decency and a strong sense of the humanity of others. I am myself thrilled and grateful to be the recipient of an honorary degree from this esteemed university, and although more than a little bit nervous, honored to be speaking to you today. In my life as a writer, I am surrounded by immensely gifted, hardworking, and worthy people, and as a little old lady, nobody knows better than I do the strange twists and turns of individual life, and how, in that laundry dryer of happenings we call life, nobody knows who will actually tumble to the top. And so I try hard to remember that although I did make choices, and some of them helped to bring me here today, there is a part of me that is as surprised as anyone, as an equal number of them might have ended in total failure, if not life in prison, and that despite the foregoing, doesn't really understand how on earth I got here. I've been asked to tell you a little about my life and the events that might have brought me here today, and to impart also any wisdom I might have that might be of help to you on your journey through life. I'm 72 years old now, and I guess if I have any brains at all, I ought to have something wise to say to you. What I mostly have to say, though, is that life is amazing, that its twists and turns can hardly be foreseen or predicted or even expected, and that the result is that the best laid plans, as Robbie Burns wrote, gang aft agley, meaning that humans make plans and the gods laugh. That being the case, then, it seems clear to me that the best thing one can do to prepare oneself for life is to work toward achieving a calm attitude of mind toward our whole condition as humans, which is in general terms one of uncertainty, so that every blow or surprise doesn't knock us on our backsides and leave us for a period unable to function or striking out wildly in ways which can only hurt ourselves and others. It takes wisdom, understanding, and patience to achieve that. I think that when you're the daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter of pioneers, you absorb with your mother's milk that uncertainty of life. I was born into a log house in the bush, north of Garrick, Saskatchewan, on land just at the edge of the boreal forest. We were among that first crowd of settlers the government let in there in the 30s. My father had a sawmill, and living was strictly hand to mouth. And I must say that I wonder even today what my father was thinking of, what he saw in his mind's eye as the future, a chance to make a reasonable living for his family, I suppose. But you can imagine that is not what happened in that swampy, fly and mosquito-ridden land. In 4 years, we were gone again, starting again, once again with nothing. That 4 of the 5 of us, all girls, went to university is in the nature of a miracle. The 5th wasn't able to go to school. Like all of you, we were smart kids. And because we were girls, hardly great beauties, not blessed with the marriageable requirements of the day, we knew that whatever we wanted, we would have to get for ourselves. We became ambitious. I remember when I was about 10 years old sitting with a friend on her front steps declaring, "When I grow up, I will not be poor. I will not live in a small town. I will live among people who can pronounce my name." My name was the horrendously difficult Leblanc. But if you weren't a Protestant Anglo in those days in small-town Saskatchewan, your name was consistently mangled, no matter how simple it was. I often think that ambition to be recognized for myself was stuffed into me before I was even born. But my sisters and I were also raised in naivety, where being ambitious translated to doing your best in school, reading every book on the planet, following all the rules, being obedient, and thus clearly worthy, and from this, as naturally as the sun after rain, worldly success would come. Hard to believe, isn't it? Not that you shouldn't do those things, but that you shouldn't think that doing them is all it will take to be successful. And for ambitious people, it was curiously passive. Its only goal in practical terms seemed to be to join the middle class. Nothing wrong with that, but hardly unique. nor something that in itself would bring one to this moment today. When I was 9, I thought I would write books, or at least a book. But that didn't then work out for me, so I began to draw and paint, and over my school-going years to imagine myself as a visual artist, which I truly thought was the most glorious thing that anyone could possibly be, that there could be no other profession that could ever come anywhere near to holding the joy inherent in being an artist. So you can see that I was already on a conflicting path. On the one hand, determined to achieve the middle class by conventional means, and on the other, knowing that what I really wanted was to be an artist. And of course, the first one out, as it tends to do for children raised in a world where there is never enough of anything in the way of material goods, and the rest of the world views you because of this as inferior to them. You have to prove yourself, and few artists are viewed by the rest of society as having proved themselves, because in those same worldly terms, most artists are failures. As the years of my adulthood began to pass and my dream of being a painter having failed, or more accurately, I having failed it, life getting in the way, at 38 years of age, life helped me find my way back to writing. This time I knew it when I found it for what it was, the very thing I was meant to do, the thing that I must spend the rest of my life pursuing whether I was successful or not, and no matter what it cost me. I didn't find that out overnight, but as I kept at it, instead of flagging, my desire to be a writer grew stronger and stronger, as did my determination. To be a better writer required knowing more and more. By reading, in order to be more cultured and more knowledgeable about the world's wisdom, and in writing itself, to be more stylistically sound, to learn to write beautiful prose, and especially to find ways to say the things I wanted to say, so that they were at once more telling and more profound. For years, all I cared about was writing. I told a television interviewer once, I gave up everything for writing, and I meant it. For years, everything I did or thought was about writing. My whole life was about writing. I did not want it any other way, although I constantly mourned the normal life I was missing, and because I lived so far from a city, I was lonely and I had no other artists for companions. Year after year, for more than 30 of them, I lived in isolation, not fitting into the community, and my daily life, although I was married, was mostly solitary. Another way to put this would be to say the hardest lesson a writer can learn is about the outsider status most writers occupy. The very nature of the work does that to you. It puts you on the outside, always watching. I sometimes think there is something in the artist that yearns for that status, something that does not want to belong, does not want to be one of the bunch, even though there is also a part that yearns deeply to be like everybody else and a part of the real world. In 1974, I was in my tenure year as a lecturer at the University of Saskatchewan, and I was casting about frantically to get out of there before tenure trapped me forever in a world I found bore little resemblance to the one I had thought I would find when becoming a scholar had been so attractive to me, as sufficiently elevated from the log cabin in the northern bush, and finally the right place for me. But I remember saying to my friends, and I hope you'll all forgive me for this, I'm talking about teaching at a university, not studying there. The university is killing all that is the best in me, by which I meant that with the creative urge with which I was either cursed or blessed, I did not belong in that tightly scheduled, competitive, and highly demanding world. Just quit might have been the best advice, but I had a child to feed and a mortgage to pay, and having dragged myself up into the near middle class, I had no intention of falling backwards out of it. It was at that point that I met my cattle rancher husband and gave up my job, my house, my friends, and my family to go off into another universe to make the rest of my life. It occurs to me, and I think it is true, that if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be a writer. And as I didn't even know then that I would be a writer, we can hardly call it good planning. There were moments when I felt I had made a bad choice, but they always passed, and I can truthfully say that if I hadn't gone into that strange, largely unknown life in the middle of the great western grasslands, where I was alone for most of the day for many, many years, the artist in me would never have had the chance to emerge. And yet, as I've said, I always knew that that was where my happiness lay. For all but the lucky few, that will be the conflict too, whether to focus entirely on worldly success and ignore the inner drive, or to do the opposite with all its deprivations and struggle and its apparent failure. Or you might be lucky, as is a family member of mine who, as they say, fooled around for 4 or 5 years out of high school, finally went to university to study law, not that it particularly interested him, and by sheer accident of availability took a class in geology, whereupon he discovered he loved rocks. He loved that study of the earth, and that was the end of law, and today he is a practicing geologist, both deeply interested in his work and earning a good living. Finding and following that inner drive is a strange thing, a difficult thing, a puzzling thing. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that to try not to let making a living or being a success overwhelm you, possess you entirely, but leave room for that creative urge that lives inside all of us and will express itself in myriad ways if we allow it. To stifle it completely is to stifle the soul. That is my best advice to this year's graduates. Thank you.
Dr. Sharon Batella, thank you so much for that amazing story of your amazing life and how, fortunately, that great clothes dryer in the sky managed to tumble you in the right directions from the boreal forests of northern Saskatchewan to the grasslands of southern Saskatchewan, from being an artist and lecturer, a rancher's wife, and fortunately for us, a writer. You have enriched all of our lives and many, many others across this great nation. And your presence and your thoughtful words today have been a great gift to us, and we greatly appreciate the honor you have given us by accepting an honorary degree from the University of Alberta. It was very wonderful for our graduates to hear this, your message and your story, and I'm sure they will take away an important lesson. Thank you again. And now, graduates, it's your turn. As the name of each graduate is called across the stage, I will formally admit you to your degrees, and we will have an opportunity to congratulate you. When we shake hands, that will be the moment when your degree is conferred and you will become a graduate. On your journey across the stage, you will walk past the University of Alberta Mace. Centuries ago, the mace was a symbol of authority over life and death. Today, this mace represents the life-changing power of knowledge and the importance of our university and our graduates in the community. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I look forward to meeting you on stage.
The candidates for the degrees will please rise and follow on page 5 of the Convocation program. Up you come. Eminent Chancellor and President, on behalf of the faculties, I present to you these scholars and ask that they be pledged and admitted to the degrees to which they are entitled.
Do you promise faithfully to observe and loyally to maintain the statutes, customs, privileges, and liberties of this, your university? Do you solemnly promise to conduct yourself in all things loyally and faithfully to the honor of your university, the encouragement of learning, and the good of your country? These things.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the legislature of this province, and with the consent of this university, I admit you to the degrees to which you are entitled and invest you with all the powers, rights, and privileges pertaining to such degrees. I charge you to use them for the uplifting of the whole people, to inspire the human spirit for all who believe to serve your God, and to pursue more steadfastly whatsoever things are true. Please be seated.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of Professor Leslie Cormick, I present the following graduates for degrees in the Faculty of Arts. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, John Douglas Crookshanks. Maria Kutusov. Stephanie Bernadette Martins. Barrett John Weber. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Doctor of Music, Sandra Joy Friesen. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Master of Arts, Wendy Ojla. Wendy graduates today with a Master of Arts and a certificate in community-based research and evaluation. Marina Cherniavska. Christine Joy Santiago Oro. JC Del Payne. Jessica Lida Thompson. Eduard Tuni Picado. Jessica Veronica Vrobel. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Master of Music, Maria Vitrovina Prodakovna. Dominique Kathleen Shulhan. Erica Diane Sorensen. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honors. The recipient of the Dr. John Macdonald Medal in Arts and the S.W. Field Prize in History, Anthony Klashnikov, with first-class honors. Anthony also holds a certificate in Peace and Post-Conflict Studies.
Anthony Kalashnikov is this year's recipient of the Dr. Joan MacDonald Medal in Arts, given by the Faculty of Arts to the graduating student that has shown the highest distinction in scholarship in the BA Honors Program. This award was endowed in the memory of Dr. John MacDonald, a former chair of the Department of Philosophy and Psychology and a former dean of the Faculty of Arts and Science. Anthony's previous academic accomplishments include the Roger Smith Undergraduate Research Award and the Learning and Enrichment Funding Award. Additionally, Anthony presented papers at the Tomorrow's Ideas Now conference and at the undergraduate Dalhousie Arts and Social Science Conference. Recently, Anthony has been awarded a Clarendon Scholarship to attend Oxford University for his master's program, where he will study Russian and East European studies. Anthony plans to pursue a career in academia. Please join me in congratulating Anthony. Well done. Oh, what a wonderful experience again. All the very best. You've chosen well.
Graham Andrew James Archibald with first-class honors in his Bachelor of Arts with Honors and Certificate in Globalization and Governance. Joshua Richard Terrence Baller with his first-class honors. Cassandra Jo Boschman with first-class honors in a Bachelor of Arts with Honors and a Certificate in Peace and Post-Conflict Studies. Cassandra is the recipient of a Catherine MacLean Scholarship in the Arts. A recipient of the Honors Medal in Philosophy, Amanda Eileen Coleman with first-class honors. Laura Devaney with first-class honors. Marie-Claude Gaudreau with first-class honors. The Leo Mosier Gold Medal in Mathematical and Statistical Sciences, an Allison White Faculty of Honors Prize, Elena Grace Kalashnikov with first-class honors. Quentin Lau. Carson Brett Meyer with first-class honors. Brandon Ritchie. Recipient of the Duncan Alexander McGibbon Medal in Political Science, Justin Sellner with first-class honors, graduating with a Certificate in Globalization and Governance, a Certificate in Peace and Post-Conflict Studies, and a Certificate in Global Citizenship. Shauna Danielle Streeper with first-class honors, graduating with a Certificate in Translation Studies. Ross Kent Swanson with first-class honors. Jacqueline Torrey Thibodeau with first-class honors. Brenna Margaret Ward with first-class honors. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Amy Jane Adkisson. Amda Abdi Ali. Mustafa Abdi Ali. Cassandra Nicole Allen. Justin Michael Andrade. Christopher Balthazar Avelar. Alyssa Bethany Laurel Baker. Megan Alana Teresa Bamford. Cassandra Bardwell. Todd Anthony Batke. Andrea Lynn Bertoya. Jamie Michelle Bertrand. Nathan Ryan Birch. Catherine Lynn Bissett with distinction. Taimur Aslam Bati. Amuel Binder. Today this degree is being granted posthumously. Lauren Michelle Bodnar. Katerina Bogoyevich, with distinction, graduating with a certificate in translation studies. Olivia Eileen Bond. Hannah Nicole Borkent. Chelsea Nadine Boucher. Ilana Leah Botwell, with distinction, a certificate in global citizenship and a certificate in peace and post-conflict studies. Karine Broodhagen. Chelsea Rose Butler, with distinction. Anthony Francesco Carrozza. Victoria Ann Carter, with distinction. Christopher Stephen Cassidy. Priscilla Sarai Castillo. Mireille Chamberlain. Pui Ting Chan. Vivian Wing Si Chan. Kevin Jingchua Chen. Hijab Chowdhury. Jennifer Chow. Eric Kong Chi Chung. Julie Véronique Couture. Errol Catherine Coxon. Edward James Davies, with distinction. Serin Dawn Desjarlais. Sarah Marie Dittrich with distinction. Kendra Nicole Detzel. Nicole Bernadette Donovan. Kaya Danielle Doran. Nadia Pearl Naomi Dow with distinction. James Arthur Eastham with a certificate in globalization and governance. Shelby Lane Elks. Phaedra Shira Lisith Emmanuel. Camille Tara Ensmiger with distinction. Jessica Evans. Elise Jacinthe Fannin. David John Clark Falk. Nathalie Lucienne Forcier with distinction. Dilsora Komil Fuzilova. Katie Kong Ki Fong. Madison Rose Giselle Gablehouse with distinction. Lauren Marie Gangle. Victoria Ann Cheko Godden. Rupinder Gill with distinction. Niamal Guet. José Valine Galietz with distinction. Emily Gunn with distinction. Hadika Hackwick. Charlotte Lane Toy Hall with distinction. Megan Ann Hardman with distinction. Megan is the recipient of the Douglas E. Smith Gold Medal in the Arts. Samantha Nicole Harper. Neil Patrick Hauer. Caleb Thomas Henry with distinction. Philip Henson. Aaron Hepper. Clara Cecilia Hildebrand with distinction. Kalisha Wendy Hissett. Juliana Ho with distinction and a certificate in community service learning. Cheryl Constance Holborn. Nikki Colette Trisha Holt. Brittany Jericho Hopkins. Bonnie Jade Huang. Robin Hubbard with a certificate in translation studies. Jason Donald Hunt. Kelty Elizabeth Ann Hutchinson with a certificate in community service learning. Vanessa Real Eiston. Faria Ali Jama. Heather Marie Johnson. Nicole Joanne Johnson. Samuel Johnson with distinction. Robert John Kaiser. Sarah Ashley Carissa with distinction. Christine Angela Kaspic and her fan club. Jenna Jean Elizabeth Kalam. Ken Shin Kashida. My sister, Kyra Rachel Klein, graduating with distinction. Amanda Rose Cobley with distinction. Fanny Fang Ying Kun. Amy Lynn Kwan with a certificate in translation studies.
Nicole Valerie Lacha. Megan Elizabeth Lafèvre. Ana Carolina Lara. Victoria Hope LaRoche. Jason de los Santos Latorre. Tracy Lee. Glennis Marie Leithwood. Jacqueline Louise Leblanc with distinction. Kirsten Louise Leslie with distinction. Pavan Lily. Ludmila Losktova. Morgan Thomas Luth. Cynthia Cian Look. Lindsay Mary McDonald. Jamie Catherine Machuk. Elizabeth Nancy Christy Macklem, receiving also a certificate in community service learning.
As in English.
Melissa Jeanette Matthews with distinction. Sarah Elizabeth McCaffrey. Devin McGregor. Olga Magnolia Mendoza. Brendan Roland Murkowski. Chelsea Lynn Mayer. Kol Monidar. Kol is also receiving a certificate in global citizenship. Aaron Richard Moran. Robert John Murdoch. Alisa Michalska. Brett Allen Nastiak. Amanda Sonia Ng. Christine Nye. Danae Emily Nguyen. Mackenzie Michael Nugent. Faria Abdi Noor. Ksenia Obradovich with distinction. Erin O'Neill with distinction. Boris Papuga. Brianne Nicole Parker with distinction. Ellen Agnes Parsons, receiving a certificate in globalization and governance and a certificate in global citizenship. Brianne Marie Patton with distinction. Lauren Cherie Paul. Nicholas Dmitry Pavlov. Patricia Ann Payne. Janelle Lynn Pedersen with distinction. Michael James Paris. Susanna Peters. Susanna is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Natalia Joanna Piacicolin with distinction. Janice Catherine Pinder. Nancy Moro Pinto with distinction. Nancy is always also receiving a certificate in translation studies and a certificate in community service learning. Todd James Pruner with distinction. Isabel Ann Rayner with distinction. Isabel is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Michaela Maria Rebus with distinction. Michaela also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Jia-Yun Ren. Lauren Marjorie Richards with distinction. Leslie Richards. Laura Ritchie. Laura is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Charisse Nicole Roberts with distinction. Jill Patricia Robinson with distinction. Victoria Lee Roduta. Haley Ann Rollheiser. Julia Russell with distinction. Brittany Lee Sales with distinction. Amanda Ray Serich with distinction. Maria Nicole Savadov. Kimberly Ann Schurz. Lowell Paul Scott with distinction. Anne Seith. Cassandra Crystal Francesca Sharon. Cassandra is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Nicolette Tanis Shaughnessy. Gabrielle Shaw with distinction. Gabrielle is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Chen Shen. Christy Louise Sherlock. Noreen Judith Sibanda. Megan Karying Si. Tara Leanne Slikonich. Connor Smith with distinction. Allison Sokil with distinction. Francis Strickland. Kristen Bridget Strilchuk with distinction. Ibrahim Soubey. Denisha Alexis Tash with distinction. Rebecca Eve Taylor. Megan Grace Thiessen with distinction. Megan also is receiving a certificate in Peace and Post-Conflict Studies. Rajnik Kaur Thind. Ashley Page Thompson. Ashley is also receiving a certificate in Community Service Learning. Dennis Allen Tink. Jesse Willem Peter Chepkima. Adam Rafael Travato. Stuart Raymond Truscott. Jose Antonio Abaran Untalan. Janie Lynn Vanderlaan with distinction. Carissa Michelle Vanderleek with distinction. Carissa is also receiving a certificate in translation studies and a certificate in community service learning. Rebecca Ruth Vischer. Karen Angela Watson. Duncan Reed Webster. Carrie Whedon. James Williams with distinction. Tasha Alyssa Williams. Catherine Esme Nora Willis with distinction. Catherine Bree Wilson. Melissa Page Wilson. Sarah Diane Wilson. Stephen Reed Wintermute with distinction. Caitlin Alexandra Wolfert. Andrew Scott Wood with distinction. Haley Patricia Woods with distinction. Kyle Scott Yaschuk. Kyle is also receiving a certificate in translation studies. Xiao Chen Yo. Ben Robert Young with distinction. Megan Elizabeth Young. Rama Khalif Yusuf. Allison Dawn Zapperzan. Allison is also receiving a certificate in globalization and governance. Aman Zenadine. Dan Qianju. Marina Zelenkova. For the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art and Design, Lisa Supriniak. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Bachelor of Music, Kayla Marie Elizabeth Chambers with distinction. Misun Choi. Gavin Grant Goodwin with distinction. Laura Virginia Hyde with distinction. Gianna Marisa Reed with distinction. Amber Nicole Schneider. Kimberly Elizabeth Shire. Glenn Taylor Skelton with distinction. Lauren Ashley Trelford. Siobhan Nicole Winterholt with distinction. Jolene Wong. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, Amanda Brittany Caron. Caitlin Serena Cave with distinction. Sarah Grace Denholm with distinction. Lucien Raymond Duché-Labrie. Katarina Kovbas. Françoise Marie McGraw with distinction. Kathleen Mary O'Driscoll with distinction. Victoria Elizabeth Polai. Neil Brian Topinka with distinction. Liana Ulrich. Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of Professor Robert Hanel, I present the following graduates for degrees in the Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Susan Carol Burwash. Jorge Patricio Fuentes Contreras. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Master of Science, Lindsay Michelle Akins. April Dawn Andrews. Krista Betty Anacrico. Michelle Lynn Axelson. Julie Ann Elizabeth Bannock. Amanda Chantel Bopp. Caitlin Leanne Braden. Daniel James Bradley. Ainsley Janelle Brouillard. Kaylee Brina Brown. David Michael Byes. Alec William Chisholm. Amber Lynn Clark. Heather Cody. Natalie Nicole Culietta. Nicole Kristen Ailfson. Jordana Marie Ferguson. Dustin Malcolm Fraser. Forrest Bradley Gaynor. Tyler Adam Gamblin. Carolyn Rose Graton. Krista Renee Godanis. Samantha Nicole Hammond. Kimberly Cheryl Hillier. Carmen Jawen Hahn. Jessica Ashley Hung. Devin Elise Hussar. Selenia Roberta Iachelli. Lindsay Rosalind Janot. Melissa Margaret Johnson. Tara Lillian Katarenchuk. Janelle Christina Khan. Murray Peter Albert Kowalczyk. Allison Renee Kurabi. Jolene Krista LaBerge. Carrie Ann Lewis. Amber Lynn Long. Crystal Lynn McClellan. Shannon Deborah McLeod. Tracy Lynn Mandeville. Andrea Lynn McCaffrey. Christopher Michael McKenna. Alicia Mohammed. Amanda Marie Moores. Leah Kristen Moraz. Vi Tuang Yo. Vivi Nguyen. Trisha Camille Novak. Mayank Tilak Raj Rahani. Elena Dawn Reese. Lisa Paige Romanek. Matthew Forrest Scott. Samantha Jolynn Scott. Simone Michelle Semachuk. Brianne Marie Smith. Jenna Dawn Trulove. Sherilyn Rhea Vandeglind. Rhea Mary Wade. Tyler William Wetter. Lynn Rachel Wong. Jia Wu. Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of Professor Lori Lang, I present the following graduates for degrees in the School of Public Health. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Jie Gao. Serena Lynn Humphreys. Leah Michelle Miniker. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Master of Science, Shelley Benjamini. Stacy Tara Greening. Emily Victoria Hastings. Leah Ann Leschelt. Eminent Chancellor, for the degree of Master of Public Health, Alisa Junghee An. Chelsea Kristen Ansiu. Alicia Angela Bell. Xiaoyan Jennifer Bian. Cheryl Ann Blumendahl. Sylvia El Kurdi. Kathleen Janet Hamilton. Amna Haq. Melinda Kreinen Hill. Christina Congatz. Miriam Ahmed Osman. Nabila Rasul. Marjan Rekabdar. Taryn Monique Ridsdale. Stephen William Rutledge. Mayank Singhal. Catherine Ann Somerville. Juliana Sukraj. is also receiving a post-baccalaureate certificate and a graduate certificate in community-based research and evaluation. Salima Thaur. Honored Tony Tapsovan. Melissa Ann Valentic Martins. Emily Anna Vesby. Min Vung.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the faculties, I present to you the remaining scholars whose names appear in the Convocation program but who are not in attendance.
Wow, what a great afternoon. I think you'll agree with me that having 613 students graduate today is impressive. Today is a truly proud moment for the University of Alberta. In total, we will graduate 6,756 students this spring convocation. Now, according to my rough calculations, that represents approximately 270,000 courses completed and 811,000 classroom hours. Now, if each of you actually did the average 3 hours of studying outside of class for each hour in class, right? Of course you did. That's equal then to well over 3.2 million hours in total were devoted to earning the degrees completed this year. Amazing. All those hours represent a lot of time. Time that you might have devoted to your family and friends, to cleaning the house, to doing the laundry, walking the dog, paying the rent. Time when your parents and families had to pick up the slack when you were otherwise engaged. So graduates, it's your turn to get up, turn around, and give a huge round of applause to all those people who supported you throughout. Parents, spouses, partners, children, and siblings. Okay. Now that I have you all back with us, it's time to turn our attention to the final part of today's ceremony. Graduates, today you irrevocably become part of the U of A family. I know you will do us proud and will join with the tens of thousands of alumni who have gone before you and do your part in uplifting the whole people. Before we formally induct you into the University of Alberta Alumni Association, we want to remind you of the journey you have been on to get to this ceremony with the presentation of a special video montage. The song that accompanies the video, Je te retrouve, or I Remember You, was commissioned by Campus Saint Jean in celebration of the university's centenary in 2008 and is performed by Chorale Saint Jean under the direction of Laurier Fagnon. The words to Je te retrouve is in the back of your convocation booklet. It was composed by Professor Emeritus Dr. Franz Lavoisier-Ouimet and arranged by U of A alumnus Dr. Alan Bevan, and captures the hopefulness and potential of days spent at the university. I hope the images that will accompany the song show some of your own particular story and bring back fond memories of your time spent here. Enjoy.
Eminent Chancellor. My name is Linda Miller, and it is my honor to bring greetings from the Alumni Association. Among your alumni family are a Prime Minister, Chief Justice of Supreme Court, a Nobel laureate, as well as many other outstanding builders, business leaders, art artists, educators, and humanitarians around the world. Alumni all dedicated to uplifting the whole people. Today, you become alumni of the University of Alberta. It is my honor to hereby welcome you and officially induct you to the University of Alberta Alumni Association. Graduates, would you please stand? As a new ambassador for the University of Alberta, I call upon you to use the knowledge you've gained here for the betterment of yourselves and others. I call upon you to maintain a lifelong connection with the University of Alberta. As alumnus of the University of Alberta, be proud of your degree and your fellow alumni. Nurture lifelong friendships cultivated on this campus. Celebrate our university's many successes and recommend it to others. Take part in your alumni associations, many events and activities. You are officially a lifetime member of a powerful worldwide network of friends and colleagues. On behalf of all alumni, I'm very pleased to welcome you to the University of Alberta Alumni Association. Congratulations and best wishes in all your future endeavors. Please be seated.
I have a few final words to our graduates. All of us on this stage understand the hard work that you've put into reaching this day today and this very proud day for yourselves and your parents and your family. I want to just leave with a quote to reinforce the message of Dr. Samarasekera and Dr. Butala, who spoke about the adversity and how we must deal with whatever life throws at us. Helen Keller, one of the world's very famous individuals who's faced incredible adversity but managed to rise above with her incredible human spirit, spoke about that she longed to accomplish a great and noble task, but it is her chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble, and she certainly did that in her life. Congratulations to all of you for the many small tasks you've accomplished, every assignment, term paper, and group project that has brought you to this moment today. We commend you on your achievement and on your determination. We encourage you to keep learning and keep challenging yourselves, seek opportunities that bring you joy and fulfillment, and find ways to give back to your community. Our convocation speaker today offered us a brilliant example of leadership and accomplishment and commitment. Dr. Sharon Butala, thank you again for sharing your wisdom and experience. It's a great honor for us to be here with you today. Graduates, the world is also open to you to be leaders. Your hopes and dreams will give you your life both purpose and meaning, and they will also become a foundation for the future of our community. Now, to close our celebration, I'd offer you two words to take from this convocation. They're two small but very powerful words that resonate in every culture and every language. They are thanks and yes. Thanks for all that has been, and for all those whose dedication, efforts, values, and sacrifices have brought you across the stage today. And yes, for all that will be, to the opportunities and challenges that lie on the many paths ahead of you. And thanks to the musical gifts of our superb vocalist, Miss Jonna Reed, and the outstanding Convocation Band under the direction of Dr. Thomas Dust. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for taking on the responsibilities of being a university graduate, and thank you for joining our family at the university. In most families, we celebrate special occasions by sharing food together, so I invite everyone to join us for some light refreshments in the main floor lobby. Graduates, once again, my warmest congratulations. May your dreams take you far. May you always remain close to your alma mater, the University of Alberta. Enjoy the rest of your celebration. Thank you.
Thank you.